My mom and dad came to the United States around 1978.
My parents were born in Taiwan.
Both my parents are from China. In middle school, I noticed that people liked it when I made Asian jokes. So they felt like it was okay to make Asian jokes towards me too.
I would get like the occasional, calls like the ching chong ching.
A classmate of mine that I was working with, he actually had the nerve to call me a coconut.
People would, manipulate their eyes and make fun of me.
Brown on the outside and white on the inside.
When my parents first moved, the first night after they came down and their car had been keyed because there weren't any other Asians.
These incidents, they definitely have been across the board. But here I clearly see that the function of the racism from top down, from the federal government down, is a way to deflect blame from the government. So a way to deflect blame because the federal government did not act quickly enough. They dismantled all the, procedures to deal with pandemic in our country. So there's a lot of things that the government could have done in the beginning.
I feel like a lot of people wouldn't feel empowered to be prejudiced against Asians if our president hadn't say Kung flu or China virus. That definitely fostered a lot of anti-Asian sentiment.
I think this current president, in all his mixed messaging about race, is very clear that he doesn't care. He doesn't really think about the consequences of his choices.
Somebody that grew up in this neighborhood posted something on Nextdoor. Things like mothballs, cayenne pepper, or other similar things only push the squirrel somewhere else. When you shoot a squirrel, it stops that one and also stops it from breeding to create more squirrels year after year. These squirrels are like the Chinese, they just keep coming. It's not enough for one or two people to be shooting them. We all need to do our part to make a difference. In the wake of that person posting that I saw so many Asian Americans from Dallas were banding together and were oh, we're gonna sue him for hate speech and we're gonna throw him in jail. And I was like, okay, do whatever you want. But all of these people didn't do anything when George Floyd died.
Model minority, it's a strategy that creates a wedge between Asians and other people of color.
I see it as racist too, because that myth is used to say, well, look at Asians, they succeeded, they work hard, why can't other populations work hard as well?
When you go to the Philippines, you kind of see it in the kind of entertainment industry. The favor that they have towards lighter skinned Filipinos is in your face all the time. And I think because of that colorism within the Filipino community, you'll see a certain anti-Blackness.
Just to kind of give you an example of how that internal racism works. And so I was working at a restaurant. This was in New York City. I worked at this restaurant called Zen Palette. The prep cooks were Latino, right? The waiters or the main cooks were usually Chinese. A lot of us weren't paid minimum wage. We weren't paid overtime. And so when I went to organize, I tried to ask everyone if they wanted to stand up for their rights. I asked the Latino workers there. I started to unite with them. And I remember the Chinese workers basically came and told me, they're like, why are you selling out our people? You're stabbing us in the back. Then I had to tell them, first and foremost, that I am also a worker and I'm also being, exploited.
It's just a very frustrating thing to see minorities not stick up for other minorities. And I want that to change.
It's not asking for privileges, right, for just a group of people, but we need to recognize our commonality and fight for a common need.
Because this is a long fight, but I feel like as long as people can stay committed and stay in it together, we can win this.